Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are feeling amazing. Maybe still a little tired and groggy from that full moon that we just had. That was a doozy. I personally did like an energy activation with a Reiki master. Was it on the full moon? I think it was. And I wasn't expecting it to be as powerful as it was. And it was so powerful. And it really wiped me out. So, like, I have not been able to handle the day to day things lately. Like, I've been getting to my client sessions and then kind of like getting into rest. And so I haven't made a video in a little while, but I'm happy to be back. And boy, do I have a lot of downloads to share with you guys. So I want to try, I have notes to kind of keep me structured, but I'm going to kind of start with where the divine masculines are at and kind of what's been coming up for them. So what I keep hearing from my guides is they're getting a taste of their own medicine. And this is not, the guides, my guides in particular, really love to use like expressions like that. They're kind of cheeky. And I actually find when I get to communicate with other people's guides through sessions and whatnot, that guides are cheeky and they communicate to us in a way that we will understand. And they really do like to use kind of expressions and things like that. So I just want to say, it doesn't mean, oh yeah, it's like a spiteful experience, or not even spiteful, but like tit for tat, like, oh, you did this and now you're going to pay and you're going to experience. But it really is part of the ascension process. So where we were when we were first really awakening to this connection and awakening to the journey and feeling very kind of powerless about it, very like, well, it's like when you first wake up to it and you know who this person is now and you remember and you're like, oh my God, why didn't I remember when we were together? Or why didn't I recognize them? Or why didn't I know? Or why was I so, and you're feeling all the confusion, you're feeling upset, you're feeling kind of like, why would my soul choose this? This feels horrible, especially because at that point, the beginning points of the journey is like, you don't have any control. It's like when you're recognizing, I don't have any control. And this is happening to me whether I like it or not. This is my journey whether I like it or not. And there's that kind of like resistance period. They've kind of been in that space. And not only that, is this inward kind of cave that they've been in has really been making their ascension process move a lot faster, a lot quicker. So you may have experienced things you used to be able to do. Maybe like I'm going to give some examples of like drinking alcohol or going out and being social, or maybe there was like people in your life that you knew you weren't in exact alignment, but you still kind of wanted to make it work with them because of your history, or just because you wanted people in your life and you didn't want to be super alone, whatever. And you started to kind of realize, every time I do this thing, whether it's hang out with this person, go to this job that I'm not in alignment with, drink alcohol, fill in the blank, anything in your life that you were doing that was out of alignment after you've kind of started waking up and ascending, just no, like it's like you weren't allowed to do it anymore. It's like spirit and the guides were like, nope, every time you do this, you're going to experience a tiny little tower, or you're going to experience like an obstacle or a difficulty, and it's just not going to feel good. And we're going to keep delivering this to you until you really just say, okay, I guess I just can't do this anymore. Right? It was that kind of experience. And that was all kind of really heightened after the Great Conjunction. So on December 21st, it was like all this new technology, all this new light, gamma rays, all the expansion, everything that was going on, it really ascended us really quickly, especially these starseeds and light workers. It kind of like all of our capabilities, all of it started to kind of drop in for us and really get real and tangible, honestly. And then it was about that integration period of like, okay, well, what needs to go in my life? What is not in alignment? And divine feminines have really come to this place of being comfortable with the new of what they've created. Many of us have really let go of pretty much everything in our life that wasn't serving. We're really at that place where we've ascended, we're in this inner union, we've done our healing work. Whenever our healing work pops up, we work through it, we work on it, and we're really vibrating at this higher sort of frequency. And it's not to say that when we were making those choices and decisions and cutting people, things, places, whatnot out of our life, that it wasn't difficult, right? It really was, especially when we were in the separation from our twin, when we were really feeling that, at the beginning of it, you feel the longing, you feel the obsession, you feel the defeat, you feel the pain of losing this person when you're like, and then when you figure out who they are and you figure out that they're like a part of your soul and there's nothing you can do about it at that moment in time, because you know that you can't control this other person, you can't make them see, they have to figure it out on their own. So it's a really difficult place, right? It can be really challenging. The masculines are kind of there, and in a different way, right? Because for them, it's not so much around trying to get us to see, right? Because we have different roles, we have different assignments, right? So it's a little bit different, but they are in that place of getting that taste of their own medicine, is what the guides keep saying. So it's like they are experiencing the longing, they are experiencing that obsession, they are experiencing all of the fear and self-doubt, and realizing now that they've awakened, and they are awakening, and they're recognizing the truth of this connection, they are really being hard on themselves and really in this place of kind of tower moments and darkness around the acknowledgement of, well, now that I know who this person was and I'm really reflecting from a place of honesty, I can see how I actually wasn't in my integrity and I wasn't acting how I wished I act. And there's a lot of like self-defeat right now. There's a lot of feeling bad about it. On top of that, the other layer is there's things in their 3D life that they can't unsee now. So it's like they're recognizing, oh, I'm actually not in alignment with this person, and I'm actually not in alignment with this job, and I'm actually not in alignment. And they've been kind of digging their head in the sand for a while with those things, because Spirit's been kind of slowly guiding them around that and showing them like, hey, here's what's going on, here's what's going on. But they've been kind of putting their head in the sand. And now they can't really do that anymore. So things like addictions, patterns, habits, people, activities, even music. I mean, when you go through ascension, everything changes. The things that you used to love, the things that you used to really vibrate with, and now all of a sudden you can't resonate there anymore. Some TV shows, right? Because you start to recognize the truth, the frequency truth of what everything is resonating at. And when you are not in alignment with that anymore, it's like nails on a chalkboard trying to make yourself do it. It's that really uncomfortable, like, ugh, thing. So that's kind of where they are. And it's that feeling of recognizing I'm actually not of this world. I'm not in this 3D. And before, when they were kind of putting their head in the sand, what was occurring was they weren't quite at that ascension point. So you and your twin were actually not in alignment. You were repelling each other. Well, yes and no. They were being attracted to you because as you're ascending, that magnet grows. But then if you had the chance to kind of get in each other's space, or if you interacted in any real way, the masculine twin was being extremely triggered because of that disalignment, because it wasn't quite, you weren't vibrating, because they were still kind of holding on to the old. They were holding on to this person that they built, which is this ego self. But they weren't ready to acknowledge that. They weren't ready to see, like, actually, it's this ego self, but it's this ego self that fits in with the world I've built. And so if I have to let go of this ego self, then that means I have to let go of almost everything else in my life, because I'm not going to be resonating at the same frequency. So the only person that they're really going to be resonating with is you. But divine feminines have already been through this journey, and they've already recognized that there's actually freedom on the other side. And as scary and painful as it might have been, it's so freeing and it feels so good and liberating. And now as you're standing on the other side of it, nothing can really harm you. Nothing can really touch you. You're not afraid to lose anything, because you're not attaching or clinging to anything. You're really in this state of kind of freedom and sovereignty, right? Divine masculines are working their way to that point, but they're really in those first beginning stages where it's like, oh shit, like I have to let go of this person too? I don't get to smoke weed anymore? I can't do this now. You know, it's all of these things where they're kind of coming, like awakening to it, and that can be a really, really uncomfortable, difficult process. And spirit has kind of brought about tower moments in these past like couple weeks, I would say, to really show them this, to really have it kind of glaring in their face. You can't ignore this anymore. You're on this train of ascension and it's going super fast and you have to just go with it. So there's a piece of that that's really painful. There's a piece of that that is really, really challenging. And they've kind of been in this place of having to surrender because of what's been coming up, because of being able to see it now from this higher perspective. Because you know, like this ascension process, it's like once you see something, you can't unsee it. Once you know the truth, you can recognize anything that's not the truth. And that was kind of the push and pull that the twins were in for a really long time, where, you know, I think in the beginning, the unawakened twin, I don't like that term, but, you know, the twin that was a little bit more stuck in the 3D kind of pulled the other twin down into that. And then they created a very karmic 3D relationship that had to crumble, had to end. And then that ended. And then that set the other twin, who was a little bit already more adapted to these 5D, to consciousness, to deeper consciousness, it put that twin on an awakening journey where that twin had to really wake up. So if you were slightly awake, if you were maybe a little bit on this journey, it really ascended you to the next level. And I'm talking to you, Divine Feminines. And then you kind of got the whole picture. And I feel very recently that the Divine Feminines have been gaining this higher perspective where they can see it all now. Like it is so clear. And I'm not just talking about this twin journey. I'm talking about their entire lives. Being able to see, oh, I was actually on my mission from day one. Every single choice I made, every single thing I did, whether that was things that on the surface look wrong. What I mean by that is many light workers, many starseeds go through immensely painful, difficult things because we are here to transmute. We are 100% transmuters for the collective. That's why we come. That's our mission. And we do that with our twin. Eventually we come together and do that work together, but we're doing that work individually for a very long time. And so we tend to choose experiences that are very painful and that many others would never go down. So like drug addictions, abusive relationships, toxic family lines, you know, crime, you know, just whatever it is, like really, really challenging, toxic things. And as the Divine Feminine, we're here to kind of transmute the feminine wounding. So you may have found yourself in abusive relationships with narcissists, you know, really working through that wounding so you can really understand what that is. And the body takes a lot of abuse in this process for both twins, because then the masculines, on the other hand, are really transmuting the divine masculine wounding. So they are finding themselves with very abusive, manipulative, narcissistic women, right? And mothers and heavy women figures in their life and whatnot, right? So it's like divine feminines working through father wounds, working through the divine masculine woundings, and then the masculines working through mother wounds and the divine feminine woundings, right? So we're really mirroring each other. But I digress. I'll get back. There's so many downloads coming through these days. So the feminines right now, as a collective, are really being initiated into these higher, deeper truths where you can look at your entire life as, oh, I was an actor in the play. I was saying my lines. I was wearing my costume, my mask, and every single thing I did was a part of that journey. It wasn't a mistake. I wasn't a fuck up. I wasn't off my path or off my mission. I wasn't lost to the darkness. I was simply diving headfirst into the darkness in order to transmute it into light. And that when we can gain that download, this, like, it's a gift, right? This awareness. And of course, I can tell you this and you can hear it, but if it doesn't resonate deeply in your soul, you're not going to really hear it or understand it yet, because we have to kind of experience something and feel it in our body to really understand it, which is why you could have told your masculine until you're blue in the face, we're twins, we're the same soul, we're entwined, we're here to work together, and they have to feel it. They doesn't matter what you tell them, no matter how much logical sense it makes to them, or how much, maybe not logical, but how much sense it makes to them, they're still not going to hear it unless they can feel it. So everything I'm telling you right now, if you've had an experience with this, then you're really gonna understand. But if not, maybe I'm just dropping a seed, and kind of you'll get that kind of gift and receive that download as well from spirit at the right time. But for me, what this has done, this newfound information, is it's totally freed me from my own journey, and it's allowed me to forgive my own story. So, I'd done a lot of inner child work, a lot of healing, where I've really worked through that, forgiveness and forgiving myself and being grateful for any of the experiences, the darkness, the things I've had to deal with, the things I've created in my own life, but it was like a higher perspective, where I realized I got myself into that situation, or I lived that way, or I had this thing occur to me because I was playing my role. I was saying my lines. I was an actor in this play as a light worker, as a starseed, and I did it in order to gift the people around me with that healing and transmuting that. So it was something that my soul agreed to do. I agreed to get in a car accident where I broke almost every bone in my body and give that pain and that trauma to the community that I lived in, to my family, to my friends, where they thought I was going to die, and I almost did. I was willing to go through that experience in order for the healing and the transmuting that needed to occur for the collective. So my body went through that, and I never quite identified as a victim of it, if that makes sense. And maybe you can resonate. Maybe you've been through trauma. Maybe you've been through things in your life that to other people, that looks like, I don't know how you got through that. I don't know how you survived that. But you kind of, you're like, yes, thank you. Yeah, it was okay. Yeah. But you've never quite fully identified it and made it your story as if you're a victim. I'll be so curious to hear if this resonates for people, because these are all like new downloads that have been coming through for me. But I've never quite been a person, and I've had a lot of physical trauma, pain to my body, right? Abuse, like you name it. I have experienced a lot of trauma to my body, and I have never quite identified with it as like this big trauma. I've never quite been like, hi, I'm Megan, nice to meet you, I almost died. You know what I mean? I've never been like, hi, like, here's my story, let me tell you what I've suffered. It just was a thing where I went through it. And I think the realizations and the downloads that Spirit is giving me right now is, you agreed to go through this, not for yourself, not for your soul, but for others. And that is what kind of transmuted it. And not only that, now it's something that you've experienced in your body, and you've experienced it so that when this place that we're coming into now, where the light workers, the starseeds, are becoming the mystics, the healers, the sages, the oracles, if you will, we can actually speak to the collective from the truth and from like, I've experienced it, I've felt that, and I can help you, right? I can help you transmute this because you've lived it. So it's kind of just looking at how it's all been by design. And the reason I'm going here, and the point I'm trying to make, is that what this newfound awareness has given me, and this higher perspective of being able to forgive every choice I've made in my life, as if that was actually my guides having me make that choice. That was me fulfilling my contract. That was me being on my mission, being a healer, being a light worker from day one, from the moment I was born. Even when people around me were telling me, you're really messing up, like, what is wrong with you? Get it together. So I had to work through those stories and those projections that were put on me and transmute those as well, right? But where I'm getting to is, now that I've forgiven myself for that life story, I can forgive my masculine. I can give him the grace and the forgiveness and the absolute unconditional love of where he's at right now. Because, I've shared on this channel before how it feels like the masculines, they recognize the connection first. They're the ones that really move this forward, and that love vibration is just vibrating off of them so strongly upon the first meeting. And however long your relationship kind of lasts in that, the twin flame honeymoon phase or whatever they call it, right? So the masculine is really driving that forward because they recognize you first. And then it's almost like they go back to sleep. It's almost like it's so intense, these feelings that are awakened in them, that they're like, and then they run, right? And then they kind of go back to sleep. But it's almost like the lines that they say, the things that they tell you, the reasons that they give. I mean, I've done so many private sessions at this point, and it's like all of our masculines say the exact same things to us. They literally say verbatim the same sentences, and they don't make sense. But it's almost like they're actors in a play. They have their script, they say their lines, they know exactly what they're supposed to say until the time comes for them to awaken, until the time comes for them to wake up from the dream, just like the feminines have. So now that we have woken up and we're gaining these higher perspectives and we're able to truly, truly let go and forgive our entire history, our entire lives, now we can start to offer that to them, where we can say, right now, like if you're impatient, right now, if you're like, I've been on this journey for 5 years, what is going on? Like, I've done my work, I have done this, I have come to this point, I'm in inner union, I love my life, but I'm still waiting for this person because I know we have a mission, I know we have a contract. I can't even tell you how many times I've heard Divine Feminine say, like, I'm fulfilling my end of the contract and they're not fulfilling theirs. But what if they are? What if they are literally fulfilling it to a T, and they are saying these things, they are reacting to the situation, they're saying exactly what they're meant to say, and they're on their journey, and it really is in this 100% divine timing, where once you gain this higher perspective and you're able to fully forgive every aspect of your journey and your life, now you can forgive them for theirs, and you can forgive anything that they've said to you or done that's hurt you in this connection, in this dynamic, any of their transgressions, right? If you can just forgive all of those things, and I mean really forgive it because you've forgiven yourself, because that's the first person you have to forgive. If you forgive you, you're forgiving them in a really real way. So it's like, getting mad at them and their karmic situations and, just how they've shown up. It's like they've been playing the role because they've been transmuting that societal collective pain. And they wouldn't have been able to do that if they were awake. You wouldn't have gone headfirst into whatever darkness and trauma you've gone to in your life if you were awake. Because you would have been like, no thank you, I'm going to stay in the light. You would have been like, oh yeah, no thank you. You'd be like, I'm going to be over here enjoying this human body that I don't get very often because it's really awesome, right? So you're like, no, I'm going to stay over here. So we have to be asleep in order to fulfill this part of our mission, in order to transmute this light to darkness, this darkness to light. That's a really important part of the journey. And the masculines are just coming out of that. So they are just starting to awaken. They are starting to awaken to this connection. They are starting to awaken to who they truly are. They are on this journey where they're recognizing everything they've created, and they're like dreamers waking up. They're waking up and they see that they're in a play and they're wearing a costume and they're like, this isn't me. And you had that experience too. And it's only a matter of time, divine timing, for when you both are really awakened, and then you can come together on your mission, and then your mission is transformed, right? Because you've transmuted all this pain, you've done all this healing, and now it's like the war is over if you want it to be. Now it's like the mission work gets like multidimensional. It gets super light. It gets super joyful. It gets super just bringing in these new technologies, bringing in these higher awarenesses to give to the collective, because we've done our work in transmuting the pain, and now we're awake, and now it's fun. Now it's literally like, look at this human body I have. Do you see how weird this is? Right? Because we're spiritual beings. We're not these humans, right? We're in like a human suit, and then we're kind of like just like do like, this is cool. Like, look at what we can do, right? And then you're free to do anything, and everything is an adventure, and everything is fun and light, even pain, even sadness, because you're awake. So you're like, wow, here's a sad, I'm experiencing a human emotion, right? And you're very kind of like keyed into it. You're like the watcher, you're watching it, and you have the higher awareness, you have that higher perspective, that higher knowledge of everything that's actually going on. Okay, got into a lot there. Okay, let me just see if there's anything else I wanted to share. So it's these actors in the play. Yes, this was the last point. For many of you, some of your mission in coming together with your twin is to bring in these starseed children, is to bring in these, I think I've heard them called like golden egg children, these children with high, like 12D consciousness, like high frequency consciousness. And the reason that the healing can occur, or the reason the healing can feel like it takes so long for these twin flame unions, is that both of you have to transmute all of that pain, all of that ancestral pain and trauma that you came in to heal. That has to be gone before you can welcome in bringing this child earthside, bringing in this starseed earthside, because we're not going to be repeating those ancestral lines and patterns, because these souls that are coming in are not here to do that. That is not their mission. Their mission is to be bringing in new technologies from these higher dimensions, ascending us into this new earth, ascending us into time travel, telekinesis, communicating with our minds, healing our bodies like that, living to be, however old, right? New technologies, like crazy technologies. And then they are also going to be here to kind of heal the rest of humanity, but by being this high light frequency being, not by going into the pain and suffering and then transmuting it like we did. They are going to be held and protected because of all the beautiful healing that we have done. So this could be part of your mission. It may not be, but this is a big mission for many twins, and this is partly what's coming on. It's this new earth and bringing in these new souls that are going to be really ascending us into completely new bodies and DNA and just next level. So that's part of kind of what this healing process, why it can take so long, and that's kind of what we want. We want the masculines to complete that work. We want them to heal their ancestral trauma, their lineage, all of that they agreed to do in their contract before coming around back into union. Okay. Last thing, let me see if this is the last thing I want to leave you with. I even thought I was going to pull some cards for you guys, but there's so many downloads. Okay. Yeah. Okay. When we heal ourselves, we heal the collective. When we heal us, we heal our families. When we heal us, we heal our twin. So it's this beautiful line. It's this beautiful connective tissue. We are transmuters, and we were here to heal, but that timeline is expired. That timeline is done. What I keep hearing is the war is over if you want it to be. Suffering is over if you choose so. It is time to get into this timeline of play, freedom, sovereignty, lightness, light frequency, 5D. It's 5D. It is unconditional love. It is joy. It is truth. And it is just like floating. Like it's like that feeling of just pure joy and exploration. And nothing is, this is like something that's come up for me a lot. I'm sorry if you don't like cursing, but it's like, and it's a joke I actually have said with with my counterpart, but it's like unfuckwittable. Like we're absolutely unfuckwittable. So like nothing really gets to us anymore because we're healed, because we've really done that healing, and the healing is here if you want it to be. You can stay in the healing, you can stay in the suffering, you can stay working through those old wounds. And Spirit has told me you can stay in that forever. But your contract and your mission is to actually move away from that you're done with that. You don't need to keep doing that. But you have the choice to keep doing that if you choose. this is what I want to leave you with. This is the most empowering thing. We are speaking our truth into existence. We are spell casting. With every word that we speak, with everything we say, we are literally casting spells. That is magic. I'll leave it there. That is magic. So be so impeccable with your word. I know we've heard this before. Some beautiful teachers have brought down these teachings, but be so clear with what you're saying and what you're manifesting. Your intentions are so powerful. So when you are feeling down on this journey, when you are feeling upset at your masculine, when you are feeling any of those things, feel it. Allow yourself to feel it, but be the transmuter that you are. Transmute it and let it leave your body. And then speak into existence what you wish to create, what your true intention is. And if your intention is to be on mission, if your intention is to head into this lighter, higher timeline, if your intention is to neutralize all karmic debt, do that. And step into this frequency of love. And everything that you say, everything that you speak about your masculine, know that you are spell casting. So you can literally speak them into their ascension, speak them into their healing, speak them into them having this higher awareness. Because everything that you go through on the journey, they then go through and mirror it. It's different because it's coming from their sort of masculine, you have different bodies, you have different minds, and you have different bodies, same soul. Okay, so they experience these things differently. So the pain and the longing and the suffering that you experienced is different than the pain and the longing and the suffering that they experienced. But the feeling is the same. You're going to experience the same feeling because you share the same soul. So if you want them to awaken, if you want them to step up, if you want them to get into this higher timeline with you, speak it. Use your words. They are powerful. When you're talking to your friends, when you're talking to other divine feminines, maybe other divine masculines, really speak into the truth of who you know them to be and the truth of who you know yourself to be. Because we hear this all the time and we know it's true, but I think sometimes we need gentle reminders that they are us and we are them. So when you are judging and condemning their journey, and when you are upset and you are impatient and you are frustrated with them, there is still a part of you that is impatient and frustrated and condemning your own journey. Okay. Wow, 30 minutes of just a transmission. So this is just a transmission for you guys today. I literally had the cards out. I was going to pull cards. I will do that for you very soon. But all these downloads really needed to come through. So I will be so curious to hear how this resonates, if it does, if you've experienced some of this, and please like this video if you're enjoying the content and share with your friends. And I will see you guys again very soon. Sending you so much love. Bye.